Everyone, in this class we'll be talking about adjectives. All right. The initial idea was to talk about both adjectives and adverbs, but probably was going to be a lot of information. So let's focus on adjectives only. So whenever we come to think of adjectives, I would like you to just do this thought experiment and try to guess what could we say about adjectives regarding their form, and what could we say about adjectives regarding their meaning. All right. Remember that the form has to do with the structure of the words. Okay, so the morphology. What's the morphology of adjectives? When you come to think of it, well, you can probably think of er endings, less endings, or something like that. And when it comes about meanings, you can probably think about what meanings do adjectives convey, and you will relate adjectives most probably to descriptions. Okay, so the theory for that, you will find it in section 7.2.1, which is page 102. So we're talking about form. And it says that adjectives can be inflected to show comparative and superlative degree. We're going to be talking about this later. They had common endings: able, all, I've, and some others. Adjectives do not take plural inflection with plural nouns. So this is a difference with the Spanish. In Spanish, we say, for example, ojos azules, but in English, we don't say blue eyes. We say blue eyes. So it doesn't matter the number of the noun, the adjective will always be singular between inverted commas, all right? They do not take the plural inflection. When it comes to meaning, adjectives can be descriptive, and these are the ones we are familiar with, okay? And it says that they add to the characterization of a nominal expression. They add to the characteristics of a noun. That is to say, color, size, age, material. So blue, it's a descriptive adjective, clearly. Big, it's a descriptive adjective. But adjectives can also be classifiers, or they can be limiting. That is to say, they do not add to the description of a noun or a nominal expression, but they restrict the reference. And whenever we say that they restricted the reference, come to think of this expression: the only person. Okay, I'm the only person, I'm the only one. Only there is not describing my physical characteristics, but is restricting, in this case, the number is restricting my reference. So we are not giving information about the physical appearance of someone, but we are limiting or excluding other participants. So if I'm the only person, I'm the only one. It doesn't include any others. Yes, but it's not that you can see the characteristic of only in that person reflected. All right. I hope it's more or less clear, but probably we need more practice to understand this. No, this has to do with common endings and forms of adjectives. You will find this in section 7.3. Now, participial forms are common endings for adjectives. And you would probably relate the word participial with verbs. Participial forms are ed for the past and ing for the present. Okay, whenever we're talking of verbs, but the participial forms in adjectives, well, they coincide. Adjectives ending in ed or adjectives ending in ing. So this movie was exciting. All right, that exciting there, it's a participial form of an adjective. It makes me feel excited. uh, that's a participial form as well. So focus, probably revise carefully these participle forms because there are many adjectives ending in ed and ing, but they refer to different things. Ed is for the person who feels, and the ing form is for the circumstance or the event or the phenomenon or another person who makes you feel with that ed form. Okay. Then we have derivational suffixes. You know what a derivational suffix is. It's an ending suffix that we add to another word to get an adjective, all right? Um, so common endings that we saw, that we dealt with, for example, hard, hardless, okay? Um, carnivore, carnivorous. Okay, and I'm not good at examples. And then compounding. Of course, you can have words that are made up of two stems to form adjectives in this case. So, for example, light blue, smoke free, fast food, lane line, family oriented. Oh gosh, I'm really good at examples with this one. No, revise this theory. Okay. No, comparative and superlative forms. This is probably you've dealt with a lot at school, at private institutes, if you ever been to a private institute, with a tutor, if you have ever had one. In section 7.212, sorry, page 129, you will find a detailed description of these comparative and superlative forms. The general rule for the comparative and the superlative is that one syllable adjectives take an inflectional marking to form comparative or superlative degree. Is that okay? Uh, I repeat that. The general rule is that one syllable adjectives or short adjectives take an inflectional marking to form the comparative and the superlative degree. For example, stronger, strongest, softer, softest. Um, then, the same rule says that two syllable adjectives and longer take a phrasal marking for the comparative and the superlative degree. So more difficult, more famous, most famous. Evidently, the article the most difficult, the most famous is not always necessary, but most is always needs to be there, okay, to form the superlative of long adjectives. As with every rule, there are exceptions. Gosh, as with every rule, there are exceptions. And I would like you to go to this section and take a look at the exceptions. Some exceptions, for example, are two syllable adjectives and then y can take the inflectional marking to show the comparative and superlative. Uh, what else? There are some irregular forms, for example, clever, which is a two syllable adjective ending in er, is not it doesn't end in y, can take an inflectional marking, cleverer, cleverest. And well, there might be other exceptions. Go check them, all right? Now, characteristics of adjectives. Before we get into these characteristics, adjectives can be either central or peripheral. They're going to be central if they comply with all of these characteristics. Okay? Section 7.6, page 111, you will find the theory for this. Central adjectives. Adjectives which have all of these characteristics. And they are the morphological inflection for the comparative and the superlative. So long adjectives are not central because they do not take morphological inflection. They take the peripheral or the phrasal marking to show the comparative and the superlative. So we say more intelligent, then intelligent is not central because it doesn't take morphological inflection. Um, this is just to recognize common occurrences, all right? Because English is a highly monosyllabic language. So there are many words which are made up of just one syllable, which take, in this case, if they are adjectives, the ER, and the EST ending. Now we are getting here into a syntax, yeah, but it's not so complicated. Adjectives have an attributive role when they are just before nouns. So we say blue car, then blue is before a noun, which is car, and it's attributive in the role. Yes, the role equates to function. Then predicate role would be whenever we have that adjective after a linking verb. We could say the car is blue. So linking verbs are all those verbs that can be followed, to put it simple, uh, by an adjective, let's say. Okay? Verbs that say that one thing is another thing, or becomes, or turns into, or seems. So all these are examples of linking verbs. Now, this predicative role is whenever we find the adjective after these types of verbs. So, for example, the car is blue. We are having blue with a predicative role here. Okay, we're saying is blue, is right after the linking verb. Descriptive meaning if they describe characteristics, of course. So remember that descriptive meanings has to do with mainly physical appearance. Sometimes it has to do with age. Sometimes it has to do with material, what something is made of, size, shape, color. But for example, if we say, I don't know, I would like the Swiss watch. In that case, Swiss is not describing a characteristic, okay? It's not that you can see uh, that the watch is Swiss, but you know the origin. So you are limiting the reference. I don't want the German one. I don't want the French one. I want the Swiss watch. I'm excluding other possibilities. So I'm limiting the reference. In that case, if we're talking about this, Swiss wouldn't be central because it's not descriptive in meaning, but well, it doesn't comply with many other characteristics. And then gradable, whether they can be graded or not. This has to do with gradability. Some short adjectives that can be before nouns and after verbs are not gradable. For example, if we say, I don't want to give you an example that would be in the exercise, but for example, perfect. Uh, Perfect, the adjective perfect cannot be graded. It cannot be graded because something is perfect or it's not. So I cannot say this is more perfect than that. Okay. So gradability is another of the characteristics that a central adjective has to have to be considered central. You will see that if an adjective adds a morphological inflection, it's because it's gradable. Okay. But the fact that it's gradable doesn't mean that it will add a morphological inflection. So going back to the irregular example, for example, no, not the regular one. We say intelligent. He is more intelligent than. So I'm grading that adjective, but it doesn't take the morphological inflection. Uh, so in that case, we're going to say that it's not central, it's peripheral. So all the adjectives that do not comply with all of the characteristics, these five characteristics, are peripheral. Okay? And that's the exercise we'll be doing. Of course, you can share your answers in the forum. Now, have a go to these ones. Share your answers in the forum if you feel like. It's not compulsory, of course. And decide if they are central or peripheral by providing all of the characteristics. So I don't have an example here, but let's take a look. If we have the adjective blue, for example, the forms bluer and bluest are non-standard. So we are going to say that blue doesn't take a morphological inflection in standard English. Uh, you might consider it, let's consider it in a non-standard way. So bluest, the bluest eyes, for example. It's a morphological inflection. It's non-standard, but it's possible. Attributive role, the blue eyes. My eyes are blue. So attributive role, blue eyes, yes. Predicative role, my eyes are blue. That's it. My eyes are brown, by the way. Descriptive meaning, it's obviously providing a characteristic of the blue of the eye. Sorry, so it's descriptive. And I, as I added the morphological inflection, evidently it's gradable in non-standard varieties. So we would say that blue is a central adjective. Of course, always take these examples in a given context. So if you need to go to the internet and look for one example and copy the example and describe that characteristic, the characteristics of the adjectives based on the example you found, that is good. Do it that way. All right. You will find this word here, and this is a bit odd. Yes, this is in traditional grammar called a possessive adjective. But you might leave it just, if you want to analyze it, do it. Okay, but it's a bit tricky though. We're going to deal with these words in detail whenever we talk about pronouns and determiners. Okay. Now, one last comment, and it has to do with the order of adjectives. Whenever we find a noun that is preceded by more than one adjective, the adjectives that are before that noun cannot just go in any order. They follow this order that is provided here. Sometimes this is a bit or less flexible. Um, if you feel like a mnemonic will help you memorize this order of adjectives, you can do it, of course. Uh, it works for me if we have all of these categories. The mnemonic Osage Common will probably come in handy, but okay, it's your call. You are free to create your own. Now, it's odd to find, of course, a noun preceded by so many adjectives. I already forgot what you said at the beginning whenever you get to clock. But it's a fantastic small new round red Swiss plastic alarm clock. Um, Seems possible. Anyway, it's really odd. You are hardly ever going to find a noun preceded by more than three adjectives, all right? But whenever you have them, this is the order that they should follow, okay? And you can be sure that this will be an exam question. Now, I hope to see you in the forums, okay? Take care.